Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam Abotani Yadinjam Do Nigan Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam.
I believe in folklore because it is really our first interpretation of the world, and I think there are great values embedded in our stories. You know, we are so rich in folklore and we are so rich in tradition, oral tradition. If you cannot share it, you know, in a meaningful way, then it becomes pretty meaningless. It's like a dead end with our society or with this generation, or maybe one more generation. Animation is a great art, I would say. You know, it's very difficult, but it brings alive something again, you know, in another aspect, and you can convey it better. It's more immediate.
In this 3-week-long workshop, we are planning to, as a group, as a team, to choose. We're going to start off the workshop with storytelling sessions, where I will ask you all to share your favorite folk tales from Arunachal, and then we're going to have a vote and decide which one we're going to choose to make into the first, I think it's probably the first animation film from Arunachal Pradesh. In this workshop, we are aiming to complete the pre-production phase of animation filmmaking. 3 weeks is really nothing when it comes to learning animation. I had come across the book by Dr. Verrier Elvin. It's Myths of Northeast Frontier Nefa. And I was reading through that book, and I realized that there was a lot of fantastic folk tales here in this area.
Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam.
Nishi is the largest
community in Arunachal Pradesh, including all these
allied
communities, no?
Because Tagin and not Tagin, that is Bagni and Hilmiris, now they have joined together. So ultimately they are the highest populated, you can say, largest group.
Earlier it was Adi.
Adi.
When there was single word Adis, no? Not Galos and not Adis. Now it has been again separated, Galos and then Adis.
So the Adis are separating and the Nishis are joining?
Yes,
Uniting.
Yes.
They are uniting and they are separating. Majority of the communities here in Arunachal Pradesh, they feel they are the descendants from Abotani, no? Such sort of filming in animation, it will be first of its kind, most probably. If it is done, really it will be quite interesting one.
Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam.
This Abotani is a kind of hero. So they believe that it is Abotani who established social and cultural life on earth.
We have Abotani and Yapom, but we've never been told about this. Abotani look like this and that. That's why it's very difficult for us to, characterize this too.
This will be a Yapom and this will be Abotani. Because this head shape, we have to think about this shape also, because this Abotani group, they don't have shape like this plumping one.
He should be shown in a very befitting way. So earring is all right, then bow and arrow, because that was the main weapon in those times.
This is the simple one, very simple, and it has more appeal than other characters, because it will mostly attract the children's.
Yapam also don't seems like a devilish kind of character, but as they are both are brothers, so this similar looks will work, I think.
These eyes are like Japanese eyes.
Abotani with Bodum, or it's simply with anti here. We haven't decided yet.
I copied this one from the board, as you suggested, and thought, because I also thought it was nice, simple, animatable, and that it would appeal to children.
It will
because of its
the
form.
most appealing one. I feel it from
Yeah.
One of the things is, see, we also have to see the cultural context of how people take Abotani. And Abotani is also this mythical hero figure. And when we claim descendancy from Abotani, we are also looking at this person who's the epitome of mankind, perhaps. So everywhere we have this concept of the spirit, and it appears, we're not sure, but it appears like the Uyus are going to be one omnipresent participant of the workshop. So that because it's there in everyone's head and everyone's talking about it, thinking about it.
और पत्थर बड़ा वाला पत्थर लोग तो ये यापों का वो है. They live in jungles, but they are not very good to human beings. लेकिन यापों में एक तो हम लोग पहाड़ का मालिक हम लोग भगवान हम लोग दोंदाई लोग का है ना. दोंदाई लोग का तो हम लोग दिल है ये तो हम लोग असली हमारा माँ पिताजी से हम लोग ऐसे रखता है. Some Uyus are very vile in nature, very wicked. Some are very good. They are friendly to human beings. So different kinds of Uyus are there.
And Yapom being finally the dissenting spirit, and finally the cause of all the malevolence, and the way Yapoms are to look at today, therefore is the anti-hero.
We won't have turbans, they'll be a bit like us only, a spirit, because man and spirit are brothers. And then it has to come across like that.
He should be somewhat dark in complexion, dark colored, in order to distinguish his character from Abotani.
So in that sense, the idea of taking the sculptures and getting kind of the involvement of the tribes on the eastern side sounds excellent. But while we use those that as a kind of a base, we also need to incorporate features which are, because now they have a cultural context. The sculptures are based on people who live in that part of the world. So therefore, while we take the idea of using the sculptures as a base, but I think the features would have to be again Dani features.
It was felt that stop motion was going to be good for this film for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is this film is part of a series of films,
Yes.
each of which have explored a different type of medium. This book here by Verrier Alwyn.
Yes.
I think when we looked at this book here, The Art of the Northeast Frontier of India, there are so many fabulous sort of imaginative carvings of characters that it's just been an absolute sort of design inspiration. And some of the characters, they just sort of cry out,
Yes.
to be turned into animations. The designs for mittens. There's a lot of material to work from, which is three-dimensional.
Yes, yes.
And then goes up and comes and meets over here. And here you tie it. ठीक है, तो साइड से हेड ऐसा है और सामने से ऐसा है. तो तुम उसको काट के you can kind of match the size, like सामने से हेड ऐसा है और साइड से ऐसा है. तो अभी हमने इसके ऊपर वायर लपेटनी है, उसके लिए ग्लू करना है. When we bend the wire, it tends to deform these structures. So उस केस के लिए we put like medical tape over it. Now we'll add the torso part. So this is the front part, and it has to go around. इसको थोड़ा और लंबा करेंगे.
Abotani Yadinjam Abotaro Yadinjam.
This time, because you're doing 3D, you're doing stop motion, therefore, again, in the whole series, this also appears to be the most lifelike in a sense. There's another dimension added, there's more texture, there's even the motions, and therefore, I don't know, I'm just being too conceited, but I think this story will stand out because it's also, the format that you have chosen is different, and the story lends itself to it, actually.
Where, the view is, is part human and has various kind of attributes. We were thinking of having the wheel digging itself out of the ground and then almost being like this with a hand, so that he can write his instructions using this part. Would it be acceptable to because our challenge is we have to physically, show, or we have to actually pin it down to an appearance for our film. He's actually hovering then, which is an implication of sort of supernatural powers or, the ability to do whatever he wishes. So that's one of the reasons that there was just one hand as well.
Abotani will come the race of men. From Yapom will come the race of Uyus.
If it is a Galo story, Galo tradition, then I think the people of Galo, this culture should be depicted. That is how I look at it. Otherwise, there may be some confusion.
Fixing identity markers of a particular tribe, then it also narrows down our appeal on the one hand, and also it becomes very specific to a particular tribe, which is another way of doing it. Not to say that that's not the way to do it, which we could say that, okay, this is the Galo version or the Nishi version or the Padam version of this particular story.
Like this Nisi people, also Nisi and Abotani, they also have Abotani. They also praise Abotani, worship Abotani. So they will think that, oh, this is Abotani, but why is he wearing Galo clothes, Galo attire? Why Abotani is for us, is for all.
There are different versions of Abotani, and our presentation should be authentic.
Because children are going to see it. I think we cannot also move away from those stereotypes. So therefore, Tani has to be valorous. He has to look valorous. He can't be 3.5 feet and podgy and fat and become the mythical hero of the Tani group. It's just not going to work. People are not going to accept him as that.
There were two brothers who used to live in two huts on a spur of a hill. The cock is crowing and is sitting over Yapom, and Yapom gets up and looks at the crow and tries to shoo it away and comes out angry, walking outside. And as soon as it's come into the veranda starts shaking, and so it looks down. The Yapom looks down and sees that there is a Mithun rubbing its back against a bamboo pole of his house.
Good thing about beads is that there's not going to be any difficulty, because the beads are similar. Story which is the sun and the moon, and then they will kind of again dig into the folktale resources, look at sun and moon stories, if interactions or whatever, and if you can find some small idea from there. The priest says the Yapoms live in the snow-clad areas, right? So therefore the landscape is not just a backdrop to your story, it's also a character in the story. So I think you have to work that into the thing. Also when you look at the valleys, also look at existing places where people are actually cultivating. Is it most probably will be terraced, it won't be the zero kind of cultivation. So ideally we should get it translated in as many, well I won't say all, it's difficult, but as many. Definitely we can think of Nishi, Galo, Adi, Abotani, Padam.
We are so amazed that, oh wow, this animation is so good, but after doing these beats and all, we came to know it's very hard and it takes very long time to these animators to make this animation. So we really enjoyed it, by the way.
I am very much thankful to Adivasi Arts Trust UK, who came forward and collaborated with Rajiv Gandhi University and CCRD to have such a inspiring, educative workshop for the young, aspiring, talented new generation of Arunachal Pradesh.
The commitment, how one works, how one loves one's work, how one enjoys one's work, and thereby how one loves oneself.
यापों को अच्छा से बात करना पड़ेगा तो, लेकिन हम लोग आदमी लोग तो थोड़ा गलती एकता है. ये यापों का गोर को काट देता है, गिरा देता है. यापों का ये नदी को मछली को ब्लास्टिंग लगाकर मछली को काट देता है. तो उधर में उन लोग तो खराब देख के ये छिरिप है. Abotani का Angadiru gua modilu gua tarulu gua gorana ba tarulu ba dikulu ba tarulu ba modilu ba tarulu ba Gumin lubam say lubam lugana banom jadi pauma body pauma chungumen kayari pauma yajom pauma gumen ka pomane duenera de kwa totuem parade. No jadi tamcha body tamcha renuratai. O jadi agala baka anga chirulu tua kamdulu tulo jadi pauma body pauma chungumen nuri kulo nuri pekumam rokira ne bache tumi kulo setum pekumam rokira to